He's got the stardom in this election. He's got the fanfare, the what it needs to really win an election. We see that in India. We've hardly seen that in the United Kingdom. But in Leicester East, with the Elephant Ride, with Shilpa Shetty, Gulshan Grover, you name it, Keith Vaz has done it all. But will you be able to translate all this into enough votes to get the seat?
It's up to the electorate. People will decide. They know the issues. It's an odd election because I'm standing as an independent with a new party, trying to bring communities together. The two traditional parties, Labour and Conservative, BJP, Congress, Republicans, Democrats. This is the year of elections. So there is a bigger picture to all this. But at a local level, there is an elephant in the room. And that is the politics that is going on as respect to Gaza, Rishi as the first Indian Prime Minister, Indian origin Prime Minister, local factors. All this is in the mix. So we don't know what's going to happen. It's up to the electorate.
You make a very important point. You say Republican versus Democrats, BJP versus the Congress. But over here, it's the reverse that's in order. It's not the Conservatives who are winning. In fact, they're the one who would be ousted.
Yeah.
And it could very well be Labour. But you're not Labour anymore. As an independent, do you stand a chance?
Well, I'm Labour in my heart. I still have the same values. But there are three issues that make it impossible to stand as the Labour candidate. The first is a local council that is on the edge of bankruptcy, people very upset about these local issues. The second is the fact that you're going to have a new government, and therefore what is the point of being part of a governing party when you can't hold it to account? It's going to be very difficult. I agree with you. I think the government will change on Friday. We'll have a new Prime Minister and a new government. And therefore you need people who are going to be fearless, not someone who's always going to follow the party line, which I've done for 32 and a half years. And finally, the situation in the Middle East is going to cause a problem in seats like Leicester, Birmingham, Manchester, Bolton, these big metropolitan areas, because there is a large community here that is very much against the war there. So you put that all into the mix and you have a very interesting local election in places like Leicester and parts of London, Southall being another example. And then you have the bigger picture.
Well, Keith, you're a controversial figure. You've been marred or riddled with controversies, and is the reason why maybe you're not in a particular party, the Labour per se. Is that not the case?
No.
Okay, but again, nonetheless, controversies. Do you think the people over here would still accept somebody who's not from the Labour Party? Let me finish. Who's not from the Labour Party in a year which is a Labour wave year, and they might have a chance to, while you say accountability, but I'd say the reverse, that they might have a chance to have a government in London, and therefore, a government that could help better the lives of people here in Leicester.
Well, all politicians who stand up for their causes are regarded as being controversial. How boring it would be if you had journalists who just followed the traditional line, or politicians who did the same. Otherwise you wouldn't be coming here and interviewing me. If I was ordinary and boring, would you? You'd be going somewhere else. But the fact is that it's up to the electorate. You only have to wait 24 hours. They will decide. It's not going to break my heart if they elect someone who's going to do the job that I was doing, if they do it properly. But they need the choice. Why shouldn't the electorate have a choice of people outside the two major parties? And I think that is what's going to happen all over the country. People are going to go for those figures who are independent and fearless and able to stand up for themselves.
But over here you also have Claudia Webb, who is a sitting MP, now again no longer in the party. We have two people who are no longer in their erstwhile parties but have quite an influence here in Leicester East. Do you think all the factors of so many candidates here could cut votes and maybe not be able to deliver the kind of results you expect?
Well, I don't expect any results. I want to let the people choose for themselves what kind of representative they want. and we only have to wait 24 hours to find the result. I think people have made their minds up on the basis of who they want to represent them. And at the end of the day, the last time I stood for Parliament, I got 35,500 votes, and I've been here for 32 years. When I first got elected, I had 19,000 votes. It's up to them to decide. In the end, people want to choose people who are going to do their work. They're going to choose people who are going to be there at 2 o'clock in the morning when they need their visas. For example, Baba Ramdev, when they asked him to leave the country without proper reason, they came to me to sort out this problem. And individuals will always have these issues that they need resolving. I think that sometimes both the media and the major political parties have an interest in simplifying politics. Politics is very complicated. People vote in layers of decision making. And what I've observed over the last 38 years is people making up their own minds, not being told what to do. And I think Leicester, similar to Southall, Ladywood in Birmingham, these are key seats. The community has moved. What it's moved to, I don't know. We will know on Thursday.
Okay. So have the issues. Immigration, visas, Indian students and their woes, and the Israel-Hamas war. Are there key issues over here in this constituency as well?
Absolutely key issues. And this government has restricted legal migration. If you wanted to bring your spouse in a few years ago, you had to have an income of £18,500. An Indian origin Prime Minister who knows the importance of migration has put that up to 29,000, and next year you're going to have to be earning £38,000 to bring your spouse into this country. Illegal migration is out of control. You can jump on a boat in Paris, you can jump on a boat in Calais, and you can make it over here spending 16,000. Someone who wants to come legally has had to wait so long to get that done. Getting work permits has been a problem. If you look at the situation regarding Indian students, very recently they were looking at post-study work. We desperately need Indians to come and study here. They pay £16,000 a year in order to study at De Montfort or Leicester University. I took up a case of 75 of these students who'd been failed by the local university, having taken their fees. And they failed on one module. As a result of my intervention, with their support, they were remarked they could stay. People come to study here so they can work at the end. And this is what's been stopped. So immigration is a big problem. So I actually agree with Boris Johnson that we should look at the issue of amnesties. We should look at relatives being allowed to come if they wish to do so.
Okay, you just mentioned Boris Johnson, and he's stepped into this entire electoral fight by endorsing Rishi Sunak. He said that no matter what, vote the Conservatives, even if the leadership is Rishi Sunak. So basically endorsing Rishi Sunak.
It's a kind of endorsement.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing. This is not exactly what he said, but he did endorse the party and the leadership. So for somebody who was ousted by Rishi Sunak to come out and say this, really goes to show that now the Conservatives really want to hold on to power, whatever it takes.
Here's my prediction. Okay. Friday morning, we're going to have a new government. Rishi Sunak is not going to be the Prime Minister. And I actually am quite a fan of his. I knew him when I was in Parliament. I think he was very able as Chancellor of the Exchequer. But the reason he called a snap election is because the Conservatives wanted to get rid of him. Not anyone else. Of course, Labour has to want to get rid of him. But the Conservatives wanted to get rid of him. And I think that that's why we're in an election now.
Is the country ready for a man of colour? Rishi Sunak was not elected directly by the people. This is the first time he's out there seeking votes from the people. Is the country ready?
Well, to be fair to him, he's been an MP, so he's done it before and he's won.
Not as Prime Minister. Yeah. Is the country ready to have a Prime Minister of Asian descent, of colour?
I never thought it would happen in my lifetime. I was the first for 55 years and the first after the Empire ceased. So I never thought in my lifetime we'd have an Indian origin Prime Minister. I think he has done for the community a power of good. But the person who put him there was actually the person who's just endorsed him. It was Boris Johnson who gave him the job. We have to rely on white politicians to promote us. Suella Braverman, who stood against me a few years ago in Leicester East, and sadly for her lost, Priti Patel, Alok Sharma, Sajid Javid, all these people appointed by Boris and had the chance to stand as Prime Minister. But I think the way he's been treated by the Conservative members and party, I think is appalling. And this is what we need to look at very carefully. And that's why he is looking at not being returned on Friday. But, you know, it's up to the electorate. But opinion polls, what do you think? New Prime Minister, or are we going to have the same one?
I think it's a Labour wave. I think there's a wave there. We don't know the numbers. They say 400 par in
Breaking news.
they say 400 par in India, and it didn't happen. Over here, the pollsters, again, some of them are predicting 400 par. Do you think it's going to be 400 par? Beyond 400 seats?
I don't know. It would be massive if it was. I mean, if it was a super majority like that. I think it makes for a bad opposition. You can't scrutinise. I'm just thinking of the House of Commons. 465 on one side and 63. That's why it's important for them to elect independents. There's no point in electing...
That's a pitch. Keith Vaz, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today. Thank you.